Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we're going to take a look at the astrological energies of November 27th until December 4th, as we are now in Sagittarius season and approaching the Sagittarius New Moon at 9 degrees 33 minutes on December 1st. We will be sure to talk about that in today's show, as well as cover all the other transiting aspects that are unfolding as we move into December. December is going to bring in fresh insights that we are meant to sit with and understand. We are meant to be more aware of what is taking up space in our minds and in our energy fields. And there is an allowing energy here that is quite interesting when you think about how Sagittarius typically operates. The Sagittarius energy is an adventurer and a seeker, on the move, ready to go. Let's check it out. Sagittarius enjoys experiences, trying something just for the fun of it, because no matter how it plays out, it's gonna be a good story. And this is why Sagittarius is lighthearted and can move into the world and move through the world with a sense of optimism and possibility. But this particular Sagittarius season is different. And that's because we have 5 planets currently in retrograde, plus Mars will be in retrograde starting December 6th. So we currently have Jupiter in Gemini, Uranus in Taurus, Chiron in Aries, Neptune in Pisces, and Mercury in Sag, all retrograde. Now again, Mars will join the party, and then Neptune is going to station direct December 7th. We're not there yet. But this week, it's important to note where the universe is guiding you to sit with something and allow the energy to filter out. Now, you can do that, of course, while moving, while going for a walk or doing yoga or being physically engaged in something. But this is a time of actually allowing more of that active mental energy to settle. And it reminds me of a story I heard a while ago related to Buddha. And as Buddha was walking from town to town with his followers, he passed by a lake and he asked one of his followers to get him some water as he was now quite thirsty. And the young man went down to the lake and saw that the lake water was dirty and murky because there were people standing on the shores washing their clothes. Someone was pulling a cart through the water. Everything was turned up and creating a lot of turbulence. He ran back to the Buddha and said, "I don't think it's okay to drink this water. It's very dirty." Buddha accepted his answer, and then a short time later, Buddha called the young man back to him again and said, "I would like a drink of water. Please return to the lake and get me a cup." And this time when the young man went back, he noticed that the water was clear and more acceptable to bring back to Buddha. So he filled up his cup and returned it to Buddha. And Buddha said to him, "Do you see what you did to make the water clear? You simply let it be. You let it settle down. You allowed the mud, the dirt, everything that was stirred up to simply settle. And so the only thing that changed in the lake had nothing to do with the water itself, but rather the activity and actions that were stirring up what was already there." This is how the mind works. Give it time to settle. Don't force it to calm down. If you allow yourself to let things be, you will experience greater peace of mind without forcing it or trying to make it something it's not. This is the energy here of Sagittarius season, where it might be difficult to let something just be because you want to change it, you want to improve it, you want to make it bigger, you want to take action, you want to do da-da-da-da-da-da. This is a different type of Sagittarius season because not only is Mercury retrograde and opposing Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, both are in an increasing square to Saturn in Pisces. And that energy is going to play out throughout all of December. The T-square is going to be exact December 26th. So our minds are feeling a lot of energy right now. And we could think that this is a time to do more, to figure it out, to talk it out, communicate. But what can happen here is that nothing is truly understood or heard. It doesn't land. And so the wisdom here, which is in Saturn and Pisces, is asking you to let it be and to not force or require more communication, because this could be a week where there's over communication, and that's what creates the harm. Over talking, over discussing, the mental fatigue is real. And yet we have accepted it as our reality, as our norm. But our minds are designed to experience peace and to detach and then to go into more of our expansive creative abilities. Because right now it could feel or seem that we're too left brain. We're overly focused on the verbal, the linear, analytical, logic. This is a time to shift it over into the right brain, the other hemisphere of intuition, nonverbal, imagination, artistic skills, music. Make sure that you're allowing yourself to go there more often and more regularly, because that's where you could get the answers or understandings that the left brain is actually seeking. So as we close out November, there could be a sense of what you want next rising up within you. You could be connecting to higher possibilities around where you want to go next, what is interesting, inspiring, uplifting. This is a time to detach from the overworkings of the left brain and to go higher into a new expansive perspective. On November 27th, the Sun in Sagittarius trines Mars in Leo at 5 degrees, nearly 6 degrees of Leo. And there is action and movement here. This could feel like a busy day. This could feel like things are lining up. You've got to take care of this. You've got to go over here. There could be more joy and more fun. This is a lively energy signature of the fire signs, and it could be quite encouraging. Now, I feel that it's really important to sync the energy up with your solar plexus and your heart chakra to make sure that what is lifting you up is connecting to that heart space as well as to your personal willpower. Now, because Mars is going to be stationing retrograde on December 6th, there's a slowing down here where this Mars is not full steam ahead. This Mars isn't just charging off to get what he wants, which is typical for that Mars in Leo. No, he's actually slowing down and carefully assessing, what do I want? Is this really true for me? Does this connect to both my heart and my solar plexus energies? Or have I been out of balance? Is it lopsided? Have I been forcing my will upon others? Have I only been selfish or have a limited perspective on what I'm creating? This Mars in Leo is going to be recharged, and as Mars stations retrograde and returns to Cancer, which will happen in January, the energy here is a solar recharge, similar to putting that solar panel outside to get more downloads from the sun, to take in more neutrinos, and to charge up with those fresh light codes and fresh energy from the sun. So this Mars is actually at a standstill and receiving more information from the solar consciousness of his personal strength, determine, and courage. And the trine from his sun, the ruling planet of Leo, is giving him a new vision, a new potential to open up to that's more expansive. But you could feel like you just have to sit with it. It's an interesting dance. That's why this particular Sagittarius season is different, because not only is this Mars moving slowly, but we're dealing too with Mercury retrograde as well as these other planets in retrograde that are signaling that it's time to integrate and become more conscious of what you want next instead of assuming that you know the answer. There's a deeper dive here, and that is an invitation. So that energy is strongest November 27th. Also on the same day, Venus in Capricorn squares Chiron retrograde in Aries at 19 degrees. And this is a hesitation and an understanding that Venus in Capricorn, she wants something new and she wants something different for herself, but she's not sure how to get it. And she's working out the internal process of accepting new parts of herself. So for Venus in Capricorn, this can feel like a weakening. There can be a part of your self-worth or value systems that are challenged by this square from Chiron in Aries. It's highlighting, actually, you want this, not that. And there's a softening into herself. And that Venus in Capricorn doesn't always like that or want that. She is very strong, clear, independent. She's executive level energy. And here this Chiron in Aries is pulling on her sleeve and saying, there's other parts of yourself that are healing right now. So be gentle. Be gentle on what you're realizing. Then we move ahead to December 1st. And December 1st is when we have the Sagittarius New Moon at 9 degrees 33 minutes. It is exact at 1:21 a.m. Eastern Time. So keep in mind that the Sagittarius New Moon could be occurring on November 30th for you, depending on your time zone. At the same time, we also have this Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius trining Chiron retrograde in Aries. So the Sagittarius New Moon is where we're meant to set intentions about what we want to move towards next. Sagittarius is mutable fire. It's on the move. We take our life force into new places, into new areas of ourselves. We open up to what we want to learn. This is an expansive energy that also helps you see yourself and your potentials in a new light. This is where it could be powerful to ask an important question, and then that Sagittarius energy will direct you towards the information or the answer. I feel that the Sagittarius New Moon opens us up to the next call of your soul, that next part of you that's coming out into the world, that's ready for new experiences and understandings, and wants to show you what you haven't seen before. This is how we move into uncharted territory and approach brand new topics that we never thought we'd be interested in. You might be surprised at where you find yourself going here during the Sagittarius New Moon. You want to locate where you have 9 degrees of Sag in your chart by house placement, as this is where the new intention is being seeded and where it will open up and unfold over the following lunar cycle. With Mercury trining Chiron, this is also showing us, what do I need to understand about myself now? How am I seeing myself in a new light and in a different way? Both planets are retrograde. This is personal. This is a personal internal journey. You are collecting information and sitting with it. You are perhaps not talking about parts of your experience with others. There's even going to be topics you don't want to broach, you don't want to go into. And there could be things here that you don't have capacity for, and you're meant to honor that. Honor what is best for your mind, body, spirit right now. Prioritize that. Don't feel like you have to overgive or engage in anything that is depleting you. This Mercury retrograde in Sag could be a lesson in keeping your mouth shut, in not over talking, in not trying to explain or promote or convince or sell, which is something that Mercury in Sagittarius does. It's like, come over and understand this. I'll show you the way. Come and join me. I've got the answers. Here's what you need to know. This is a time to not do that, to not go into providing information, especially if you're not invited. So keep an eye on any unsolicited advice that is coming up within you, or that you think your 2 cents are so important. All of us collectively are in this lesson together of don't go into any kind of discussion topics that people really aren't open to. And I mean this across the board. And I know that politics comes to mind right away, but I don't even mean only politics. I mean, this is a time when people are at capacity. People are really full in their heads, in their minds, in their energies. And we need more lighthearted topics and fun right now. We need things that are silly. We need the knock-knock jokes or the stupid stories or the ridiculous things that have happened. You know, we need the lighthearted energy. And that's what is coming up here over this next week and even into December. So if you're going to a gathering, such as for Thanksgiving, which is on Thursday here in the US, or you're meeting up with friends, or, you're just hanging out with people and making small talk, be sure and bring in anything lighthearted that gives people a good laugh, that allows them to connect to a universal theme or story. And maybe think about that. Like, think about, well, what would be a funny little anecdotal story to share with people at the table? What would be a good thing to offer that would bring us up, that would raise the energy? Because if we can be in that space with each other, it's a great way to make the most of this Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, especially as it trines Chiron retrograde in Aries. Now on December 2nd, Venus in Capricorn is going to trine Uranus retrograde in Taurus at 24 degrees. And then 2 days later, Venus in Capricorn sextiles Neptune retrograde in Pisces at 27 degrees. So Venus trines Uranus, sextiles Neptune, and she is bringing our attention to what we really value right now in our pocketbooks, in our investments, in our savings accounts, in our possessions, and in our life. And she is bringing in a seriousness to sit with. This is not an impulsive Venus. This is not the Venus who's just going to spend money on something. She's going to make sure that she is really committed, she really wants it, and it really serves her. So there could be more hesitation in anything that you're purchasing or buying right now. There could be a sense of, well, let me double check. Did I already buy this? Do I already have something similar at home? Do I even want this? And what's going to happen here when she trines Uranus in Taurus and then sextiles Neptune in Pisces is that she is going to move towards anything that expands her joy in life, her sense of fun and interest. She's going to say yes, perhaps, to bigger experiences. There could be things here that are coming up and you're realizing, I do want that. And I've said no to that for years, but I'm saying yes. I'm going to live my bucket life. I'm going to say yes to anything that instantly gives me that 100% affirmation. And so there could be things that unfold here over the next week that you might be surprised around what you move towards, what you invest in, what you say yes to, what you buy. For example, this could be a holiday season where you don't want to buy a lot of those little things. You would rather invest in something meaningful that you know you'll remember, that will last a long time, and that brings your heart a lot of joy. Our value systems have been reconfigured here, and this Venus in Capricorn is directing you to what would be truly satisfying at a deeper level of your being. I'm also seeing this Venus in Capricorn elevating over the next week. She rises above things. She doesn't put her energy into anything petty or childish or a waste of time. No, Venus in Capricorn, she makes intentional moves. And so you could find yourself easily detaching or stepping away from anything that isn't worth your energy. And as you do so, you'll reconnect with more of what really makes you happy, that feels like this is more of who I am. This really relates to more of what I want. The energy is quite creative here for Venus in Capricorn over this next week. So look at where your creativity wants to come alive and express itself. And this could even be that you then sign up for a class or do something you've never done before, because this Venus in Capricorn is shifting and changing here, and she's being introduced to new parts of herself. So again, follow that creative spirit. Be very wise with your energy and how you invest your time, and then look at how any redirect that comes about shows you a surprising yes. So again, that is December 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, when this Venus in Capricorn energy is strong. Now, also on December 4th, we have two other transits that are important to mention. This is when Mercury retrograde in Sag is exactly opposite Jupiter retrograde in Gemini at 16 degrees. Now, as I mentioned, this opposition actually lasts through the month. And that's because they are both retrograde and they are both moving slowly to have a T-square with Saturn in Pisces. So there is a slowdown here that is also wanting you to trust a process, to not force it. And like I said at the beginning of the podcast, it's the same theme here. Don't stir up the mud in the water. Don't be wasting your energy or time swirling in things just to have something to do or just because it's been your autopilot mode. Mercury opposing Jupiter makes things bigger. And because they're both retrograde, it can make a bigger mess. It can make a bigger mess. So stay mindful of what you truly need to say and know that this could be a time period where 70% less is better. Speaking less will actually pay off. Look at what is grabbing at you. Is it unnecessary drama? Is it mental anxiety? Are you feeling like there's so much you have to plan and figure out before the end of the year? Is there a lot going on all around you? Like you are living in a beehive and nothing is settling down, nothing is stopping. The energy here is asking you to practice stillness in order to prevent any big boo-boos or bigger exaggerated developments to occur. We're going to see this play out in the real world. We're going to see a lot of foot and mouth disease. We're going to see exaggerations. We're going to see a lot of big untruths that have no grounding and nothing practical around them. We're going to see big stories being told that became exaggerated. This is the typical making a mountain out of a molehill energy. And because this energy lasts throughout December, the more conscious you are of this energy signature this week, the better it's going to play out for you. So, for example, if you have something important that you want to discuss with someone and you're thinking, oh, it'll just be efficient to take care of this now, get off my plate, and I won't have to deal with it later. One of the best things you can do is ask someone first. Do you have capacity to discuss this important matter? Give them a heads up and intentionally ask first before diving into it or assuming they have the time, space, or energy. Because again, people are at capacity and this can make them more irritable, more tired, less willing to take on anything new, and perhaps even less willing to resolve any ongoing issues. So this is the time to be a better communicator and to ask up front, knock, knock on the door. Hey, do you have a minute to discuss something? Or should I come back tomorrow or next week? Make sure that you're getting people's permission and that you're extending invitations for them to respond to. Because anyone who barges in the door and dumps all this energy on someone, it's not going to go well. It's not going to go well at all. And it could, again, create more turmoil or more damage later on. So we're slowing it down. We're checking in with people first. We're seeing if they have space to take on one more thing. And that is really the best way to proceed this week and into December. Now, also on December 4th, the Sun in Sagittarius squares Saturn in Pisces at 12 degrees. And this also plays into what I've been discussing about the slowdown, about ensuring that you're being very intentional here. You're being self-aware and you're not just going over the top, which that Sun in Sag loves to do. You're reeling it in and you're honoring that this Saturn in Pisces wants you to take a beat and sit with it before proceeding, before doing anything in a big way, or before assuming anything. Now, the Sagittarius energy assumes. That's some of the lower expressions of Sag. It assumes, it has big expectations of other people, and it also can feel quite righteous, and that can come across as dogma and judgment. And those are the lower expressions of Sagittarius that have perpetuated through the years. They are related to those that we have worshiped, those that we believed had the answer. They were deeply connected to God, and we thought that, oh, if they are a part of a certain hierarchy, then they have a deeper connection to the God source than I do. Therefore, they're the ones who know what's right, who can bestow judgment, who can determine what's best for others. All of that is the old programming. All of that is very much based in outdated paradigms that we are moving away from, and we are returning to embodying the God code within each of us, that we are deeply connected to God at a cellular DNA level, that we are God in human form, and that we have the answers that we're learning to trust. And this is why Sagittarius is about trusting yourself. You are trusting your internal God code frequency. You're trusting your own answers that are best for you. And therefore, you can fully own it without imposing that on others or assuming that you have the answers for them. And so with the Sagittarius energy, we have to moderate that and be aware of not only what you're assuming about others and their experiences, but what you're expecting of them or from them. So with the Sun in Sagittarius squaring Saturn in Pisces here at 12 degrees on December 4th, this energy is a checking in point. Are you seeing the God source in another person? Because if you look at them through that lens, you will be in acceptance and compassion for who they are, their choices, their journey, how their energy is designed to express itself and move in the world. If you can connect at that level, then you can see the perfection and the all that is that exists all around us all the time. But that Sun in Sagittarius can come from a really good place of, oh, I want to support them. Oh, I know what's best for them on their path. Or, oh, I know what to tell them. I know what they need to do. And this can become convincing, manipulative, propaganda, stepping into that salesmanship. All of those can be unconscious Sagittarius energies. So the square to Saturn in Pisces says stop. Just stop and check in with yourself. Check in on what your expectations are of another. Check in on your assumptions of another. Check in on how your energy is moving and determine for yourself, am I seeing them through a higher lens connected to their own divinity? And am I seeing myself as well as a beautiful divine expression as well? There's a new level of responsibility and maturity here that the Sagittarius energy is learning through detachment and acceptance. Acceptance of where people are, detachment from where you think they should be, and compassion for what they may be experiencing and what they are living that could be wildly different from your own experiences. So the square to Saturn can be a challenge, a reality check, something not working, something that you thought was solved and it's not, a new problem arising, something you have to take time to figure out. And that is one of the expressions of Saturn, is that it's about our real world. It's about what we have to see through to the end and to ensure that we're not just letting something go. So all in all, this is a week of slowing down with greater intentionality to truly check in on what is taking up your energy, your mind, your space, your time, and then to be willing to change it around, to let something go, to move it off your desk, to realize I don't want to perpetuate that habit. I don't want to stir stuff up. I just want to let it be. And as you let it be, that's when you're going to feel the new inspirations and new breakthroughs that call to you next. And related to that, I've heard great feedback from many of you that my guided meditation, the Aquarian Diamond Light Codes meditation, has helped you flush out a lot that you no longer want swirling in your mind. It is designed to be an energetic cleanse that connects you to the bigger, higher frequencies that are coming into your personal energy field now. So just a reminder to those of you who have that guided meditation, it might support you during this particular Sagittarius season to listen to that and to allow it to clear out anything that is swirling about and allow yourselves to hear your soul better. Or if you would like to purchase it, it's only $11. I'll put it below the podcast here. And it's designed to be really supportive of the mind, body, spirit, and intuition. And just a full disclosure that many people have said they also fell asleep. So if you fall asleep listening to that meditation, I hope it takes you into beautiful realms of wonderful creations and possibilities that you then bring back into your reality. And I also want to share with you that my new book is coming out on Tuesday, December 3rd. It's called Soul Growth Astrology, a workbook for realizing your heart's true desires. And it's designed to guide you forward intentionally with any energies you want to shift. Now, it is filled with client stories, an understanding of the basics of each astrology sign, and then journal prompts, exercises, and tips to implement to evolve your own energy. And these are very simple exercises. Like, they're meant to be gentle and loving. They're meant to be practices that you put in place that help you catch yourself when you are doing something like an old, outdated habit or behavior that you no longer want. You want to replace it. You want to approach the energy in a new way. It's divided by astrology signs, and it's designed to be a book that you reference your whole chart around. Okay, so then you would look up, okay, my sun is in Virgo. Let me look at the Virgo chapter. My moon is in Libra. Let me look at the Libra chapter. My Mars is in Capricorn. Let me look at the Capricorn chapter. It's designed to be a book that you reference all of your planets with and determine what new practices or new ways of working with the energy help your soul grow. And that was my intention with this book, was to give us the practical ways to do that, because we can have all of the spiritual understandings, but we've got to ground it in to our practical reality, have things that we're aware of, simple tips, simple prompts, simple things we can do that eventually make a long-term difference, because it's the repetition that creates the difference, right? So the book comes out on Tuesday, December 3rd. If you have pre-ordered it as an ebook or on Kindle, it will be automatically delivered to your device on December 3rd. And the paperbacks will be in the mail or will be delivered shortly as well. The book is available internationally. I know it has different shipping timelines though for some countries, and that's based on Amazon. Unfortunately, that's not anything I can do or have any control over. But if you want the book sooner rather than later, the ebook is the way to go. And I also would like to give a shout out to the brilliant Teresa Reed, a fellow astrologer who wrote the foreword for the book and described her journey into astrology. Teresa also has a number of astrology books out. She is on Instagram at the Tarot Lady. She does tarot and astrology and numerology. She has all kinds of magic that she shares. So please check out Teresa on Instagram, and please check out her books as well, because I love giving shout outs to other amazing astrologers who have a lot of wisdom to offer and share. So I'm grateful that she wrote the foreword for this book, because she has been doing this work basically all of her life. And I find that it's wonderful to hear about other people's paths to astrology. So wishing you a beautiful Sagittarius New Moon. I hope you set some beautiful intentions for yourself around where you're ready to go next. And as always, I will see you back here every Monday and Wednesday for another podcast episode. Have a beautiful week ahead, and I'll talk to you soon.